Hello guys, how are you doing? Welcome back to Rule of Two Review. Today we're going to talk some more about Beyond Good and Evil 2, we're going to break down the breakdown, and we're going to discuss the Nintendo Switch. So man, this is just the best and the coolest. I can't believe that I'm living in a world where I can finally talk to you guys and even just talk out loud to anybody about Beyond Good and Evil 2, the real game, the actual confirmed, we've seen it in motion, we've seen a trailer, we've heard Ubisoft talk about it game, as opposed to a rumor and this weird mysterious vaporware thing that it had been for literally over a decade, for so freaking long. And then of course the 2008 trailer and all those different things we've discussed, you've discussed, we all know. But here we are in the wake of E3 2017, where Ubisoft shocked us all and absolutely did what they said they weren't going to do, which was show us Beyond Good and Evil 2. And I discussed it the very day that it was shown. It blew my mind. It's been my dream project, other than having Metroid come back, which of course also happened. It was Beyond Good and Evil 2. That's been just my absolute, you know, fan fantasy for so long, and I wanted to believe this game was real, but I was really struggling to believe we'd seen it, that we would see it. We have seen it, and now that it's been about a week and a half since E3, a lot's happened on the Beyond Good and Evil 2 front. So what's the deal? What's happened? Well, during E3, about a day or so after Ubisoft's press conference where they closed the show with a reveal from Michel Ancel and some other Ubisoft folks about the game, and they showed off that trailer that we all know and love. There's a lot going on there. You know, during E3, they actually did hold a behind closed doors sort of demo or preview, a showcase for the game's media, the big guys like the IGNs and GameSpots of the world and whatnot. And they actually showed some of what the team at Ubisoft and Michel Ancel does have actually running in an engine, the prototype for the engine that they're using for this game. And they also discussed quite a few more details about what's going on with the project, where it's at, what they're hoping to achieve, and it gave us a lot of insight, you guys. It gave us a lot of info. What I really liked is, you know, throughout those couple of days during E3 when that happened, a lot of the game's media and press was talking about this, and they made articles and made posts and tweets and all these things about what kind of update Michel Ancel and Ubisoft gave everyone about the game beyond just the trailer. It was really great news because when they just showed the trailer at E3 and I had some time to kind of separate myself from it, a lot of people felt this way. We started to realize, wow, I mean, it was neat for these reasons, we have concern for these reasons, but it was also just a trailer, and it sounds like this game is years away and nowhere near any sort of showable, playable state, so it's gonna be a while. And then when this came out, like the day or so after the Ubisoft press conference, it was like, oh, okay, it maybe is farther along than we initially thought. And they do have some stuff to show and talk about in actual concepts that they're going to be implementing into this game. So suddenly, it became a more tangible kind of experience beyond just that first trailer. Now, what's tricky is a lot of the information they said, a lot of it I liked, and a lot of it I didn't. So the real quick kind of, you know, elevator pitch version before I get into the breakdown that happened earlier today, or earlier yesterday, sorry, is, you know, some things that are very different from the original game, from this wonderful, lovely 12 out of 10 perfect masterpiece gem of a game, and this amazing character Jade. Very, very different than this, as we all really know. So some of the things that they confirmed at that time, they're really shooting for an online component. It's not exactly an MMO, but it is a big open world, seamlessly connected online kind of game. And that's a big sort of element to how you're supposed to play this game. I think you even can play with other players online. It's both surprising and not surprising. It's surprising because, in my opinion, that doesn't really belong in a Beyond Good and Evil game. And it's not surprising because, well, it's 2017, and everyone and their frickin' mom is trying to make every game multiplayer and online and MMO and co-op this and cooperative that and blah, blah, blah. Like, every game just has to have this stuff for some reason. So I heard that, I was like, well, I really don't like that. I don't need that in my game, but I wasn't really surprised. So it's like, okay, I'm just going to let that be what it is. They did confirm on stage, they confirmed that this takes place before Jade is even born. Not only is it just a prequel before this game, it's before she's even born, which is crazy. Very disappointing and sad. But they did specifically and expressly state that, confirm I should say, that it actually takes place the generation before Jade is born. The generation before this first game. And they also, through that, kind of confirmed there are elements peppered throughout the game and the story and the experience that will sort of connect or drop hints to things and characters and things that we know from this first game. So it's great news, because suddenly it sounds like, well, they might actually talk about something crazy like the birth of Jade. Really cool stuff. Maybe we understand where Paige comes from, dealing with the hybrid people, which are like the anthropomorphic animal people. So maybe we understand where Paige comes from, something really cool there. They also said, despite the fact that it's this big open world, online connected sort of weird thing that we don't understand, the story and the emotions of the characters that you get to know and play as in this game are still at the heart of the game. Great news. That's what I want to hear. If you're going to make another story that doesn't have freaking Jade in it, at least make it good like that game was good by making us care about the character or characters or story and the world. And it sounded like that's their plan, and that's very, very good to hear. They also confirmed create a character. Don't love that. I don't like I don't want to say I don't like. I will say that I don't care for creative characters in pretty much any game. It's not interesting to me. I don't really want to make characters. I don't want to take the time. I just blaze through those things because it's boring to me. And it actually, for me personally, many people may disagree with this, but for me, it actually kind of further separates myself from connecting to the character, because the character isn't someone that the game designers and the storytellers created to tell this story. Suddenly, it's just this shell of a polygon model that I'm just supposed to pretend, I guess, it looks like me or looks like I want that person to look, and then I don't know. I mean, it can still be fine, don't get me wrong, but it's just not my thing. For example, the Mass Effect games, which are probably the best examples of games with a creative character, I just went default Shepard every time, man. He's my guy. That is the Shepard. BioWare, you create Shepard and tell me his or her story and tell me who he or she is. Same with, like, I don't want to ever change what Link looks like in any game or just any of that stuff. I want the game creators to make the character. I don't need to be this person. I just want to experience people's stories. That's just me personally. And I don't feel as connected when it's create a character. So, kind of disappointed to hear that for this game, but it really is here nor there, because I do absolutely believe they can still have an amazing character through this, like Shepard, and they can tell a great story that I can probably still get connected to if it's good, even if I had to make my own dumb character and move this eyebrow up and move this nostril left. So that's the elevator pitch version, and then that brings us to yesterday when, thank goodness, Michel Ancel and Ubisoft decided to do something very smart and wonderful, and they took to the internet with a 15-minute video with just him sitting there with this same demo build that they showed at E3, and he kind of just exposed to the world and to us, the gamer and the fan, what the current state of this game is and what's going on. And overall, I'll tell you guys, I was a little bit nervous to go into it because I only loved about half of what I heard from the behind closed doors E3 thing, and I was really nervous that this was going to expose the biggest problems and biggest things I was worried about this game. And luckily, I can tell you that for the most part, it actually completely assuaged so many of those fears. I am very, very pleased with what I saw. The demo, you're going to see it running in the corner here. I mean, he has this monkey character, obviously like the monkey character from the trailer, something that he apparently made himself, so it's a good example of how crazy you can get with the creative character. And he's just, you know, he's got access to like the PC build of the game. He's playing on a controller in real time, but he can manipulate the world, the time of day, the weather, where the camera is, and all these different things, and I'm sure you've seen it. But you know, what's really cool is once I saw the world and I saw a character, a living, breathing character in this game's engine and in this world with the vistas around to look at, I was like, wow, you know, the world, the tone and the feel and the atmosphere I get just from this demo while Michel Ancel is talking over it did feel like an excellent modern day version of what I feel the larger galaxy at hand, System 3 from this game, actually would look and play and feel like. You know, it felt like I can't say the 2017 version of Hillis because he's not playing on Hillis. We may or may not see Hillis in the sequel, but it still felt like the world, the universe, and the atmosphere they went for in this game in a 2017 engine. And that was very, very exciting. It just like, it just washed over me, like just the visual, only the visual. I was like, whoa, okay, this feels pretty good. This looks good. I'm feeling all right about this. The ship, which I can't remember if the ship had a name, he confirmed this is like your hub. It's a huge ship that you can go inside of, and you've got people and crews and rooms, and you can do all sorts of stuff in the ship. That's your hub that moves you throughout the whole world of the game. And that was really cool. He talked about it, you know, being related to like some of the ships you'd find like in the Mamago garage from the first game, or like, you know, a humongous version of Jade's hovercraft from the first game as well. And it was like, okay, like this is feeling good. This is feeling like a 2017, 2018 Beyond Good and Evil game. Like, I can dig it. The character model looked great. He had that jetpack that let him fly around, like, he's by this huge elephant kind of Ganesh statue. And it was really cool to see the jetpack, and it's like, okay, you can just probably manipulate your way through the world based on so many different factors, and that became really impressive. And the scope and scale of the game was the other thing he spent a lot of time talking about. I appreciate this because my favorite thing in video games nowadays is huge scale, is seeing way off into the distance and thinking, oh, can I go there? Or I can go there, let me do that. Like what games like Skyrim and Breath of the Wild, of course, do. That stuff, Fallout, I love it. I just eat it up. This game, I talked about it in the early 2000s when it came out and the sandbox open world thing was just kind of getting started. This game was a trailblazer for that and did set the idea of a huge world that you can go anywhere at any time and do something with. Like, it was so cool in this game, and this is just, again, the newer, more modern version of it in this universe. And it looks and feels great. Now, what he started to do was he took the monkey character, landed him on top of the statue, and was able to pan out using the, like, the coding tools of the game, like the actual engine, not the actual gameplay camera, but the tool creation kit camera. Pulled that crap way out to show how huge the statue was, and it was massive. I was like, oh my god, and it's in real time as he's playing it. So cool. And then he showed, oh, you can pan out and go all the way into space, and just the whole same landscape he's in just goes all the way down until he's looking at the actual planet from above. He pans out into the solar system. It's just insane, and all in real time while the game is running. He could probably control his character from way off into the distance into the planet that whole time, and then he zooms back in, and then he gets into the ship. He shows what the flight of the ship looks like, changing the speeds. It looked very fun to play, and he took that into space and looked at the planet from a distance in space, all in real time, and then went back down onto the planet while flying in the ship. And he was able to change, like, the day settings, and he kind of showed how, like, really the game, the engine that they've created for this game, not only does all that cool stuff I just talked about, but also is creating its own sunset and its own weather effects, you know, based on its own algorithms. And it's not like it's like pre-rendered art that the artists of the game made. It's the engine itself making organic sunsets and clouds and weather and the movement of the planets around the solar systems and all that. So, you know, wrapping this part up, at the end of the day, it showed amazing vision, it showed amazing scale, it showed something that felt tangible and real, still obviously very early, and no hints at the story and the actual, like, organic nature of how your character will be involved, and are we going to get to know characters that might become the parents of Jade? Give me Jade, I just need Jade in this game somehow, I just need her name, or I don't know, if it ends with her being born or something, I'd just freak out. I'd be so happy with that. And you know, there's time for this to change. The thing is, I do still feel like this is incredibly early on, but there's a lot of time for this game to become something a little bit different than what it is now. With any luck, it's only a year or two off, but it could very well likely be as much as 5 years off, and that's terrifying to think about. But you know, seeing this amazing engine that they've created just for this game, and seeing the scope and vision Michel Ancel really had for Beyond Good and Evil Part 2, the sequel, I can see why it took so long for that game to come out. I'm sure they went back to the drawing board 1,000 times with this project, especially considering the first time we saw anything from it was something that showed Jade and Paige, something that seemed like a direct sequel, and now it's nothing like that. So, you know, and I even remember 2010 or 11, one random quote from E3 that year was, yeah, we're working on Beyond Good and Evil, the sequel, but, you know, we need to wait for newer consoles for the power to catch up and for the technology to be able to do what we want to do. And suddenly seeing this, it's like, wow, I can maybe see that. This is really ambitious and really crazy. So last thing, let's get to the goods. Let's talk about the Nintendo aspect here. Let's talk about the Switch and Beyond Good and Evil 2. You know, I'm mostly a Nintendo channel and a Nintendo fan and gamer, and most of you guys are Nintendo fans, so you do also definitely want to hear about the Switch aspect. And we have not heard any talk about what platforms this would come on. For a long time, there was rumors, even going back to the NX days, that Beyond Good and Evil 2 was going to be shown at some point. It was going to be exclusive to the NX. And then even after the Switch was revealed, still people thought, ooh, this game might be something Nintendo's paying for, and it's going to be exclusive to the Switch. Now, I feel very good in saying, I think, bare minimum, it won't be exclusive to the Switch. The real question is, can this game run on the Switch? Myself and the Juices Loose podcast guys, mostly myself and Miza T and Retro Death a little bit, talking about whether or not this game could run on the Switch now that we've actually seen what they've been working on. And, you know, everyone's kind of split, everyone's all over. There's a lot to kind of consider there. My ultimate feeling, and I shared it with them today as well, is once I actually saw the visuals, the graphics, the character models, the world, what it actually looks like visually, I was like, you know, yeah, I think that visual engine style could be doable and run on the Switch. Obviously, you know, maybe they have to downgrade some things or some resolution or some polygons or textures here and there, whatever, fine. It doesn't look like the kind of game that I would think the Switch couldn't run, because I feel like even the Xbox 60 could run a version of that engine, you know, which means to me the Wii U could probably do it, which means the Switch for sure could. So yes, visually I think that game is achievable. Now where it gets tricky with the Switch, you guys, is that engine and the scope and scale of it, because it's insane. What they've created here, something that's apparently seamlessly connected online, something that is able to render, you know, a landscape, a city, a town, a country, a planet, a solar system, and let you seamlessly move in and out the whole time. Like, I can't say that it's not possible on the Switch. I'm not a pro in this technical aspect, as you guys know, to say that. But my gut feeling, based on just my knowledge of playing games for 30 years and what I kind of understand the Switch to be, that's a little bit trickier to say. I kind of question whether or not it could run on the Switch. I hesitate to say yes, that's possible. Visually, I'm sure it could be made to work on the Switch. The Switch is not like, it's not worthless. I mean, it can do some great things. We've seen examples with like Breath of the Wild, for example. So I think there's elements of it that could be possible, but that engine, you know, we would have to have someone who understands these things a little bit better than myself, or maybe you guys as well, to really kind of break down the nitty-gritty, talk about what that engine allows them to do, and what the final product would actually make use of that engine, and if that is something the Switch could also handle, on top of the visuals and on top of the online connection network. So I feel like, you know, I don't know, 50-50 chance. I know it's a cop-out answer. It's hard for me to say. It's hard for anyone to say we don't have enough details. But I hesitate to commit to say, oh yeah, that's possible on the Switch. So I guess we'll see. You know, the game's a couple years out. I would love a huge update by next E3. Michel Ancel and the team at Ubisoft have the Space Monkey program, which I did sign up for at bgne.com. And so this was like their first example of, we want to hear community feedback. We want you guys to interact. They're putting stuff out there for us who are signed up to be able to be involved with the development here or whatever. So I'm trying to dive into that as I can and as I've had free time. And maybe they're going to do a couple of more of these diaries leading up to next year at E3. And with any luck, we see a huge update. And maybe we get an idea of when this game will launch, what it's really going to play like and look like, and what consoles it will be made available for. If we're lucky, it'll be everything. Switch, Xbox One, PS4, PC. With any luck, it'll just be all four of those things, which is possible, but Switch is the real X factor there, so I guess we'll see. So man, I love talking about Beyond Good and Evil 2, like it's a real thing. This is so much fun for me, you guys. I really appreciate what Ubisoft and Michel Ancel are doing. I love that they put this video and this breakdown out. Thank you guys so much for being transparent and showing it to us, the gamer, and not just the behind closed door IGNs of the world. It really means a lot to us who have been so passionate about keeping the sequel to this game, this beautiful game, alive for 15 years. And like I said before, 9 years since that 2008 trailer. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about my breakdown? What do you think about the game? What do you think about what Michel Ancel showed in this breakdown video? I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear you talk about Beyond Good and Evil Part 2. Thanks as always for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule of 2 Review, and I will catch you next time on another video.